Oh. We are live now.
Still. Oh, it's just. It's not a. You're gonna hear some. Dancing. Great.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's 6:02 and I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Start with I guess we start with a roll call. President Trustee Masinski,
Vice President Trustee West,
Vice President for Finance, Paige Allen.
Secretary Paige Barnum,
Trustee Veneta.
Trustee Pryor,
Trustee Goss.
thank you, everyone. Is there any public comment? All right, thank you. Moving on, our next agenda item is introducing the new Upper Hudson Library System Executive Director for SAGS. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you, Andrea and the board for inviting me here. I'm really excited to be here. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but I do want to just give a little brief bio of myself and some things that I've begun exploring in my just over 3 months on the job at Upper Hudson. So my wife and I moved to Albany back in 1998. We've lived here since then. I've lived over half of my life here, which is pretty cool. I love Albany. It's my second home. I'm from Central New York, a small town called Herkimer, New York. Most of my family still out there. I do have an identical twin brother who lives in Albany, and his wife and 2 kids are big in Albany high things. So anyway, if you see somebody who looks like me and I don't remember you, because I'm pretty good with faces and names, but not great, it's my brother. That's what I chalk it up to. So my wife is a upstate regional coordinator for the New York State Commission for the Blind. She and I used to work 2 blocks away because my first professional job as a librarian is in this building. I started here before I graduated from library school. I worked here from Reader's Advisory librarian up to the head of the reference department. And then Scott Jarzenbeck was the director. He promoted me to the head of branch services for this location in Arbor Hill, West Hill. My supervisor then is Melanie Metzger. So it's great to be back working with Melanie in a different capacity. It's great to be back. Adam and I were coworkers, and I knew Erica way back when she was younger. So I have a long history with this library. I cut my teeth here. It's near to me. I have friends on the staff that I worked with. A lot of those friends have retired, but I've kept an eye on things here, and it's also the Delaware branch is my favorite branch. So I love all the public library. I love all the libraries in Upper Hudson Library System equally. However, I happen to have a stronger connection with Albany. So I've only been on the job for 3 months. What I'm looking to do, what I have found out, I've visited over 1/3 of the libraries, have not visited all of them, but I will be. My focus is basically going to be on finding out the priorities of the member libraries and their directors, engaging and developing relationships with them, their staff. I think I'm going to be focusing on looking for ways to achieve sustainable funding, help with sustainable funding. I also think I have some experience managing construction projects. So after I was here for 17 years, I became the director of Utica Public Library. So much closer to my home, but I still had a commute. Oh, I should have hit behind.
Bob, can you hear us? What is there? Can you hear us? I don't know how you want to proceed. I don't know why.
I can hear you guys.
I lean towards if we are legally following open meeting law, moving forward as best as we can because everybody's time is valuable.
What's the issue, Sarah?
Our
The
video
video's not working.
camera went off, but we still have.
Video doesn't matter for me. I'm not a member of the board, so I don't need to be in the meeting in the same way that you guys do. As long as I can hear, it should be fine.
And for the public that would normally watch, it's okay that they can hear as well.
Is your streaming not working?
Streaming is working.
Okay.
It's going to be audio only for some reason. The computer had to restart in the middle of the meeting. It restarted on its own. So when the computer restarted, we lost camera.
So you don't have a way to video or to stream the meeting wholly apart from my participation by Zoom?
We have it. It's doing everything.
I'm under the impression that the audio is streaming, just not the video.
Yeah. What are all the trustees present tonight?
Not all,
But no one's participating remotely.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously, try and get the camera to work, but I think you're fine to proceed. I don't think there's any obligation. You've got you've got a standing sort of arrangement to video, but there's no obligation to stream. So I think you're all right.
What Chris of person?
Yeah, when they're done over there, we'll let Chris proceed.
You can see me okay?
We can see you. Yeah.
You guys sound great, actually. It's really clear of you.
Well, that's a win.
Yeah.
These days, my technology will work properly for me. Everything's plugged in. I don't dare unplug anything so we don't lose anything else.
Okay,
You guys are all good for going.
go ahead.
Okay, it's good because I have a face for radio. So just quickly, I just want to say I have some experience managing construction projects at Utica Public Library. We financed over $2 million worth of projects in the 8 years I was there. So that's one of the things I'm going to be looking to do is strengthening the way we communicate about those things, construction projects to our member libraries, as well as change the workflow around them in a way that I hope will achieve some efficiencies and also put us on a better long-range planning for facilities and infrastructure issues that confront us. What I want to focus on is what are we doing, but what aren't we doing as well? I'm only going to find that out by brainstorming, blue skying with member libraries, staff, trustees, and the community. And I significantly want to focus on advocacy, and that's not just advocacy where you show up at a legislator's office. It's doing things that I see from reading your executive director's report you're doing. It's being out in the community at the farmer's market, new inventive programming, engaging with the chamber. So my goal is to basically make our system serve its member libraries the best way possible. And I'm really looking forward to collaborating certainly with Andrea, Melanie, the staff here, but all of our member libraries. Lastly, I just want to say one thing. So I had not, I was still here, living here, working in Utica. And I knew a lot of people after working here for 17 years, and people would always give me the progress report on the library. What's going on at Washington Ave? Oh my God. What I can say, Andrea and I met at a library conference in Saratoga a few years ago, and we've talked occasionally. But what I can see when I came back here with a different lens is that under her leadership, she took charge of the situation, I think, in this Albany system that needed somebody to take charge. So I wanted to commend her for my perspective as a user, resident, but also as the system director. I think there's a lot of stuff going on here. Matt, back corner, I already got some info from him about how to do things better. Lastly, philosophically, I'm an urban public librarian. Business success, marginalized, kindness, compassion, and I think what I want to do is to lead an institution that strengthens that in our member systems. So thank you. It's nice to meet all of you. Some of you I have met, some of you I've met and worked with. Some of you I've met at dinner and I don't working. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Moving along, we're moving next to the consent agenda. Do we need to formally acknowledge that Trustee Marlowe has joined us? Okay, thank you. All right, for the consent agenda, before I ask for a motion to accept, I'm learning, is there any discussion over the minutes? Hearing none, moving on. Any questions or discussion of the operating check register? Give you all a second, because I know this one usually has questions. Okay, hearing none. There's nothing underlined or if there's no link for capital fund check register. So that means there's not one at this time.
No, there is not.
Perfect, thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda, including the minutes, check register, and capital fund check? Well, lack of capital fund check register.
Motion to accept.
Trustee Veneta.
Trustee Veneta, motion to accept
Bless you.
everything, all that.
Is there a second?
Trustee Allen, I second.
Thank you. All in favor? I've got, wait, can we raise hands again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, and all opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Moving on, moving to finance memo, treasurer's report, capital fund report. Just a reminder that we had a very brief meeting last month. So we're paying the piper a little bit for it right now. Please be patient and gracious with APL staff as they talk us through a couple months of things.
Hello. Yes, as President Mazinski said, there is two sets of reports this month due to the shortened meeting last month. So in the agenda, there is the reports related to the 12 months ended June 30th, 2025, which is the full 2025 fiscal year activity, as well as the first month of the 2026 fiscal year, with just the 1 month ending July 31st. So just briefly on the treasurer's reports, those include the two schedules. One is presents the net change in fund balance compared to the budgeted amounts approved by the board. So the 12 months ended June 30th, 2025 shows an operating deficit of approximately 677,000. That amount was higher than the modified budget amount due to the pilot payment being less than budgeted and the payroll and related costs being more than budgeted. And then for the 2026 fiscal year report, that report shows the budget approved by the board in March. Moving on to the capital fund reports. Those now include the $602,000 transfer from the general fund for the Washington Ave roof and masonry replacement project approved by the board in June. And then the cash and investment summary, I think, is self-explanatory. That just presents the activity for each of the months. Thank you.
Thank you. For folks like myself that often forget, can you do a very brief refresher on what a pilot payment is?
Sure. Pilot payment is payment in lieu of taxes, and pilot payments are arranged under agreements between, I believe it's the state or the city and the property owner or occupant of tax exempt properties. So tax exempt property occupants basically make a payment in lieu of taxes because their land is tax exempt. Is that a fair definition for this?
So I would define it as it's non-residential properties that instead of paying standard property taxes, they have an agreement with the city or the county or the state to pay these pilots. Generally, they pay taxes based on a percentage of the assessed value of their property rather than the full amount of the assessment. And so we have several dozen properties that fall under that category that we do get pilot funding from.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. Is that everything with finance?
I don't have anything else unless there's other questions.
Perfect. Moving on, we did the capital. The treasurer's report, that gets encompassed, right? Okay, sliding down. Moving on to committee and liaison reports. We'll start with trustees reporting out and upcoming events. I'll start where I hang my head in shame that I once again failed at turning my summer reading in on time. But I got my whole household to participate this year, so it was still kind of a win, even though we didn't bring home prizes.
Yeah, I'll report one library engagement. A couple weeks ago, I attended one of the Friends and Foundation book reviews Former trustee Mary Rush gave a wonderful presentation on the book Mayor Corning, Albany Icon, Albany Enigma by Paul Grondel, who I'm sure many of you have encountered through the Albany Writers Institute. And what I particularly love about this particular event was the contextualization of Mayor Corning's leadership. He formerly held the distinguishing characteristic of being, at the time, one of the nation's longest serving mayors. I think he was mayor for over 40 years and held that record here in Albany for, I think, well into the 2000s, maybe. But it was a great talk, and just you have a room full of institutional memory of the audience. So the conversation afterwards was really dynamic. And it sort of is a great way to understand, contemporary Albany based on, decisions by this mayor. So all that to say, these book talks cover a wide ranging variety of topics, from molecular biology to mayoral histories of our community. So just a great example of the dynamic programming we have at our branch.
This is Trustee Veneta. I attended 2 last month, and since we didn't get to report out, I'm going to report out now. On the 26th of July, I attended Paint by Numbers and SIP. It was a blast. My spouse and I painted some cactuses. Very fun. We saw some people on a first date. That was so cute. So the library is a great place to bring your first dates, guys. And then on the 23rd, we attended a citizens prep course, which was very insightful at Pine Hills. So it was just kind of teaching you how to be ready in case of anything from a giant snowstorm, which we never get here, to their power going out. They gave some recommendations on where and when you could attend other similar prep courses. And if more than 30 people are signed up to attend, the state supplies like little go bags. So if you guys are interested, I'm sure the library still has information regarding that. And I will be attending the tasting history. So if you guys want to see me, come out, I'll be there.
My record still stands for, I was on vacation last week in San Francisco in the Napa Valley, and I went to my libraries. They just find me, Napa Valley Library, which I wanted to just get a library card, but the staff there was so gracious, so nice, and I explained that I wasn't a resident. But in Napa Valley, you don't have to be a resident to get a library card, and I am a full-fledged library card holder of Napa Valley, and I can access their collection. I say that to say this because I had options to pick out what library card I want. And so I won't waste the time, but I will be discussing that with our president and executive director. I think it should be that people have options. I think I brought it up when New York did their Jay-Z collection in Brooklyn that as Paige just mentioned, are historical figures in Albany. And so maybe we can, put not Mayor Corning, but someone. Yes, the egg. Well, that's the contention too. That's contentious as also. So, but something, regional like the Adirondacks or, the Hudson River or something relevant to Albany. But it was very nice, and they the students had did a mural, and unfortunately I left all that information in the car. But Paige, you would be excited to know that they had portable potties outside the library, which was very nice and clean. I'm like, that's what we want. So it was very interesting. So
this is Trustee Allen. I don't want to hurt your feelings, President Wyszynski, but I did collect my tote bag for completing summer reading, and it's great. And I just at the grocery store earlier today. But my favorite part of the summer reading this year was the back of the tracker that had activities to do, and book club, and I went to each of the different branches, and I actually finished the journey at the North Albany branch, which I had been meaning to get to and I visited previously. So it was great to go to North Albany, meet the staff there, are very motivated to really through the doors. So it was really nice to get my
Thank you. Right. I guess moving along, the executive committee report, since we last, well, I guess we didn't really go over it last time, but prior to the August meeting, executive committee met, did committee assignments, I reached out to everyone, and we're moving forward with that. We are in the process of scheduling another executive committee meeting, for hopefully later this month, to talk about some upcoming things. I think that the biggest, most notable thing is that we as executive committee would like to do something fun with the board as people, a social event that is not attended by APL staff. As a social event, it's not part of open meeting law, just a way for us to get to know each other. And it will be obviously not a mandatory thing, but that we'll be working on that as well. And I will be asking for executive session later today, toward the end of the meeting in executive session time to discuss something else that we have discussed in executive committee. Right. Thank you.
Moving on.
Oh, go ahead.
Cause this is going over the minutes, right, as well, cause that's what we're on, right?
We're on committee and liaison reports.
The executive,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that we're going to discuss that in executive session.
right, but it's on the. I'm gonna go with what's on the
Oh,
minutes here.
okay.
Okay. Ms. Catalano, could you please just take some detailed notes? Right now, I just want this reflected in the minutes for documentation purposes. I see on the executive committee minutes, the idea and the recommendation of a grievance committee. I just definitely want to make note that, and I'll slow down, Ms. Catalano, if you need me to slow down. With this grievance committee, previously, this was something that was discussed, openly brought up by the Policy and Governance Committee that I was the chair of. Several other trustee members here were on the committee, and several other trustees here were on the board as well. That was something that was completely shot down. It was completely ignored and seemed as if it was something foreign, and there was no movement, there was no consensus that we needed a grievance committee. It was absolutely, the idea of any type of grievance process was absolutely rejected by the Policy and Governance Committee that was put forward. So I think it's just funny that here on this executive committee, there are three of the members who were here either on the Policy and Governance Committee, well, I mean, one, and two others who completely shot the idea down. So I think that this is just odd that now we're now have a grievance committee that's being recommended to the board. this is just so, it's just absolutely just so odd to me. And I just like that, reflected in the minutes. Thank you so much, Ms. Catalano. If you need me to be specific, it seems like we need to be specific here. I can do that. Cause you look confused.
No,
And-
I know,
Okay.
we'll talk about it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. For the facilities committee?
Okay, facilities. Trustee Pryor, Chair of Facilities. We met the trustee on Vanita. Okay, sorry. All right, Vanita. Um, on September the 3rd at Arbor Hill Branch, trustee Marlowe, and in attendance also was trustee Gauze, along with the executive director, Andre Nicolai, and facilities manager, Adam Farball. The meeting was called to order at 6:04. There wasn't any public comment and unfinished business that probably discuss later on in our meeting, that recommendations we would like to make. But we also discussed the we the change in the 2025 DLD, construction grant. We'll make our recommendation. I'm making now or. Okay, so go on and discuss it later on. Agenda, we also discussed the new business for the DLD 2026 construction grant. Which is 6, the APL rooftop, unit replacement. Discussed, again, we'll be making a recommendation, reference to that. And, we discussed, the Arbor Hill West Hill branch, special legislative, grant project. There's an update. The Miro funding source, the special legislative bullet aid from Senator Neil Breslin. The mural artist has been identified, Jade Warwick, AKA Trash Kid Art. Mural will cover 2 wall sections above shelves, in the library opposite the circulation desk. They will remove benches, a green wall lattice, and a planter to improve seating and power access. The mural theme will be decided by a survey of residents. Results of what they come up with the survey from the residents of Arbor Hill and West Hill. The date for that to be completed will be September the 30th. Jade Warwick will offer a design and a draft to the library, and it will be, openly discussed with the patrons of the library. Director Nicolai is seeking exemption for a typical 2,000 less for the $10,000 less than upgrade process. And then we also have another recommendation that we'll be discussing on. I have a lot to forward to. And then 4.3, the 5-year facilities plans were reviewed and we adjourned at 7:14.
Thank you. Audit and finance?
Audit and Finance met last night to discuss the 5-year financial plan for the library and to discuss the vote in May. And we had some good discussion and we'll bring the financial scenarios to the October meeting. We're just going to need a second time before that meeting.
The next 2 are,
Hi.
oh, yeah, go ahead.
Ms. Catalano, I'm sorry, I just always also want to make another note here. Just let me know when you're ready. Just being that we were talking about the committees as well, I should have mentioned it before, but I just want to make a note that to me, it seems very odd that you, Trustee Mazinski, you're on all the outward representation is you for the library. I think that that's very odd, and I don't know that I ever remember any time where the president was the Upper Hudson liaison on Friends and Family, Executive Committee, and Strategic Planning. And I think if that was someone else on the board here, it would definitely be a difference of opinion. I don't even think we'd be able to do that. But I just want to make, definitely make a note of that, so that I can, bring that up later with something else. And I also do have a question for, you council. Can you hear me? Okay. In reference to switching the committee, is there anything preventing, a trustee in the bylaws from switching the committee from, an ad hoc committee to one of the standing committees?
I don't
outside?
think there's anything, I don't think there's anything that prevents it. I think that it might require a bylaw amendment. I'd have to take a quick look at the bylaws. I'm happy to do that as we're on here, though.
A bylaw amendment to switch committees?
When you say switch trustee laws, are you just saying to have one trustee move from one to another?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think as long as the executive committee and the trustees were all in agreement, that would be fine.
Okay, I just wanted to know that. Thank you.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I
so
misunderstood your question.
for
No, that's
having,
fine. That was my same understanding, so.
having
you.
gone back into the bylaws related to that, it's the bylaws pull them out. But are that the committee assignments come from executive committee, and that is part of where executive committee is meeting soon.
I know what the bylaws. Thank you, Ms. Kyle.
Right. Upper Hudson is meeting tomorrow. And the first FFAPL meeting happened last month. And the FFAPL's trying to pull itself back together. There was a lot of turmoil. Hopefully there will be more good progress to report. But the positive thing that I can report from it is FFAPL is still financially solvent and able to support APL. Moving into the overview of upcoming committee meetings. Strategic planning is tomorrow evening. And let's see. Yes, we can't solidify that just beforehand. The 17th will be the next executive committee meeting. Okay. Did everyone hear that? Policy and government on the 23rd.
At what branch? 6 o'clock.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to the executive director report.
All right, thanks, President Masinski. I'm not going to go through the entire August report and the entire September report. I'll just give you a couple highlights from the August report and then go into the September report since it's 2 months worth. I did want to commend the Collections Management Department for their work on the Museum and Adventure Pass program. We had 216 passes reserved just in the first couple of weeks of the program, and that really compares favorably with the monthly average in last year, which was about 111 borrows per month. So that program continues to run successfully. We saw, I think, a total of 311 last month reservations. So kudos to them. And I also wanted to mention in connection with the Friends and Foundation that former APL trustee Mary Rush was voted onto the FFAPL board at the July 23rd meeting. So moving into what happened in August, we wrapped up Summer Reading Challenge. The final numbers have yet to be tabulated, but we're looking at close to 2,000 registrations for Summer Reading 2025, which is fantastic. We did a ton of outreach in the community all month long with help from our community engagement and programs and partnerships department. We also employed 6 students from the city's summer youth employment program across our branches. And amid all the outreach, we also did some e-reader giveaways in connection with the final part of the Schmidt Foundation grant that funded Keep Albany Connected for all those years. So we went to Albany Housing Authority locations and we gave away over 50 Kobo e-readers to residents, adult residents. And we also issued library cards to residents that needed a library card so that they can download free content to those e-readers. We're going to be going back to Albany Housing Authority to do e-reader training workshops in September and October. Again, with a little more Friends and Foundations, we did welcome President Sarah Masinski to the board. The FFAPL bylaws call for the president of the board to be part of the board for FFAPL, and an additional trustee is also appointed as liaison, and that's Jennifer Marlowe this year, although she could not make the July or the August meeting, excuse me. The Friends and Foundation also received a $2,500 grant from Fenimore Asset Management for future upgrades to the Washington Avenue first floor, which is great news. Adam, would you like to take the finance update?
Sure, just a couple notes from the last couple of months. So the end of fiscal 25 has come and gone. We did see a very significant deficit of over 650,000. And yeah, big reason for that is the fact that our pilot was essentially cut in half, and that represents a $200,000 revenue shortfall that we caused. July was our first full month with our new credit card processor, EDPS, and the monthly fees were approximately $1,200 less than the fees from our previous processor. So that's a little bit of good news.
That is good news. Thank you. I want to note under safety that 13 of the loss of library privileges letters of the 18 that were written last month were sort of multi-participants from various incidents. So it seems like a large number, but I do want to mention that caveat. And Matt and his team are doing a great job of mitigating incidents across the district. Under community engagement, we started 3 interns at Washington Avenue the week of August 25th. They're working in the Prime Local History Room on St. Rose Yearbook digitization project, grant funded by CDLC, the Washington Avenue Reference Department, Adult Reference, excuse me, and in collection management services, helping out with cataloging. So we're really happy to have those UAlbany students with us. And across 6 branches, there were 9 total volunteers who contributed 162 hours to APL during summertime, which is wonderful. Under programs and partnerships, we hosted a Dolly Day party at Bach Branch with our friends at United Way. And we also hosted a new silent book club night at the Albany Institute of History. It's not a new club, but it is a new venue. So excited to partner with them. And then some branch highlights. Arbor Hill broke their summer reading participation record, which is wonderful for them and for us. Bach welcomed another Dynasty wrestler visit, and kids and families had fun meeting professional wrestlers. At Delaware, we had a crowd for the Sandy Schumann presentation about legendary guitarist Lead Belly. At Howe, we took advantage of great weather and did a sun print program with cyanotype paper with families and kids. At North Albany, the seed library has been extremely popular. Over 40 people stopped by to get free seeds over the course of the whole summer, which is a really nice draw for North Albany to have. It's great they you're continuing the SEED program. And Pine Hills, we had incredible attendance at our story times throughout summertime, and almost 900 patrons attend between July and August. Finally, at Washington Avenue, had a gender inclusive period party for ages 8 to 17, excuse me, and we had a total of 18 people in attendance there. We hope to continue those programs years to come. Collection management services, we again continue to see really great participation with our Museum and Adventure Pass program. That was a highlight that I already mentioned, but under human resources news, we have a new Master's in Social Work intern. Our intern, Anna, began just yesterday, I believe, or today, yesterday. And she's going to be basically working with staff on their own processing of incidents that happen in the library space, using her social work skills to help support our staff in the work that they do. And we're really happy to have Anna. She's been shadowing various departments, including our head of public safety. And that's been a good education for her in the first couple of days. Finally, under IT, I do want to mention that the telestory equipment has been purchased and assembled, and we're working on getting that program up and running. Telestory being a program where families of incarcerated individuals can have conversations with their incarcerated family member in prisons across New York State. So we're working with docs to launch that program, and with Brooklyn Public Library, and incredible partners to us in getting this going. So I'm looking forward to that. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
I just had a comment regarding your museum and pass program that I just appreciated being able effortlessly to get onto the website and then decide what day I wanted to attend. Like the Wild Center, I was really surprised and pleased to see that on there, as well as some Gilded Age houses that are in Massachusetts. So no, I just wanted to say that I really appreciated how effortlessly, and then that you don't have to come to the library and try to, the competition, how many is there, you don't know what day. So it makes it really easy to plan a nice outing with your family. So thank you.
Trustee Veneta, second.
Right. Moving on to monthly statistics.
Right. So I'll start with monthly statistics from July. So you'll see that Museum and Adventure Pass stats are now included separately in the circulation statistics. So when you look at stats that's broken out, it's very, it's a minor fraction in comparison with the rest of our circ, but you will see that show up. Our overall door count numbers were up in July, with Pine Hills leading the way, and overall computer use was up in July, with most branches experiencing year-to-date increases. And room usage continues to rise above those pre-pandemic numbers at several branches, which is good news. In terms of August stats, overall circulation is up 1.44% year to date, mainly because of our e-content use, which, no surprise there. Our overall door count is still trending slightly above 2024 numbers, so that's headed in the right direction. And that's, and the overall programming numbers did dip below the 3-year average for the first time all year in July, but each branch saw a consequent, or a parallel corresponding, thank you, decrease in program numbers. However, it was also a really, we think all day, every day about, why the stats were affected in this way and what were the factors that led to that. Sometimes it's weather, sometimes it's people's decisions to travel. We don't ultimately have a solid reason why programming attendance numbers would have dipped for the first time all year below that 3-year average. But it's something that we'll continue to keep an eye on, and hopefully we'll see that pick up this fall.
All right, moving on. There is no unfinished business. New business, the Washington Avenue roof and masonry replacement project change.
Okay, so I did provide the board with a memo about this situation, and I'm going to just go through that with you. So we received notification at the end of August while I was away that the Division of Library, from the Division of Library Development, that the Dormitory Authority of New York State decided that the masonry portion of our roof and masonry replacement project is not eligible for the full amount of the grant funding that we were expecting for that portion of the project, which has an estimated cost of $277,000. So this came after the application had gone through 2 reviews, first by Upper Hudson and then by DLD. So it did come as somewhat of a surprise. And what I have learned, and I've learned a lot in the last couple of, or the last week about the construction grant review process, but basically DASNY works with outside bond counsel, and DASNY in general has become a lot more conservative about the masonry projects that they fund and whether or not, if it involves repointing or resealing, it's going to be considered maintenance going forward. So we have to be mindful of that. Masonry still needs to be done. That work still needs to be done to make our buildings weatherproof, but that particular work is not eligible for DLD grant funding. So where do we go from here? Normally, well, covered that. I did include a description of the original project from the application that we submitted, so you can see what we were hoping to do here at Washington Avenue. But what this means for the future, basically, I spoke with Adam Firebar, our facilities manager, and after conversations with him and with DLD and Upper Hudson, thanks to Chris and his team at Upper Hudson for their support throughout this experience. We're looking at breaking up the masonry work so that we can spread it over more than one fiscal year. We do not have $277,000 lying around to attack the masonry portion in full. So we spoke with the facilities committee last week about basically doing the center elevator stack portion first so that we can replace the roof, because we did get the funding to replace the roof, and then address the rest of the masonry that had been part of our application at a later date. So in no way are we looking at canceling the project full, because we really need to replace the roof here at Washington Avenue. We want to take advantage of what funding is available. So basically the board, I'm looking for the board to allow the library to spend money on the masonry portion of the project in excess of what originally was expected, because it has to come out of our capital funds now. So at this point, I would invite questions, but I am also going to look to our council for the proper motion language to send this project forward at the will of the board.
I'm ready to prepare that or provide that when you are.
Okay.
The
but
motion
first,
comes from committee, right?
Committee, right?
yeah, the
That's
committee
why I had to step
motion,
my hand.
yeah, I know. The committee motion that I gave to the committee had not been through legal review, and therefore we need council's help to amend that motion. I don't know what that means for the facilities minutes, or I don't know what it means for process, and maybe council can help us with that as well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the facilities committee minutes back up in front of me. Sorry about that. I don't think it's a material change. I think the issue that we learned from DLD when we were on the phone with them the other day is that they don't really need us to amend the project. They just need to know that the library has committed the full $277,000 that will be associated with the masonry work rather than just the 62,000 some odd dollars that had been associated with the previous match. They're essentially going to allow you to, use your money as the match and to cover the masonry, so that the $375,000 that is still going to be covered by DLD construction grant funds will still wholly be paid for by DASNY. So I think from my perspective, all we need to do is authorize the change in the funding sources of the project. And I think it can be simply a motion to increase funding from the library to a library contribution of $277,000.
So the recommendation that was originally stated at the facilities meeting, can I read that verbatim? That, with that you just stated that with the understanding that 277,000 of the masonry portion of the project will not be covered by the grant, and that would be on the library to get those funds.
Yeah, and that the board authorizes the expenditure of that $277,000 for the project. That should work very well, Trustee Pryor.
Okay, thank you. What Bob said. The facilities committee makes a recommendation to the board that the $277,000 dollars is allocated. What was the wording? I'm sorry.
To the masonry project, and that amount of money will be paid for by the library.
Right. The 277 will be paid by the library, the masonry portion of the project, and it's not covered by the DLD.
Thank you. Is there a second? Trustee Gauss? Seconds motion, I believe. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. All right, next order of business is the Arbor Hill West Hill mural project.
I think we skipped one.
Oh, sorry, did we?
Yeah, the application for construction.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I read that all together. Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. So this is the time of year when we submit a new construction application, grant application for the next year. So 2026 DLD construction grants. And we are proposing to replace 2 rooftop units at this branch, which will go on top of our new roof. This project is part of the long-range plan to implement energy efficient facility options for sustainability. And it's also supported by our strategic plan sustainability objective to assess and address environmental trends and recommendations for energy efficiency. We basically want to replace this McQuay rooftop unit and the York rooftop unit. The McQuay is, I have the exact age of each of these, but they are both older than 15 years, which is the bar set by DLD in terms of like how old something has to be in order to qualify for replacement. So we're safe on that front. The repair parts and circuit boards for the current units are becoming difficult to find, and that's always another sign that it's time to replace. So we're looking forward to a more efficient HVAC system for the building with all of the modern bells and whistles that come with that, and tie into our current Metasys system, which is a JCI system. So this project is slated for probably more like fall of 2026 as a start. Actually, it'll be later than that because we're going to wait for the official DLD and DASNY confirmation of the award before we actually make any moves. So, so I'm looking for the board's support to just submit the application. This isn't an approval of funds. This is just an application approval. So thank you. And the motion language is in the agenda.
The board, the facility committee recommended that the board authorize APL to proceed with the roof replacement portion of the Washington Avenue branch roof and masonry replacement project with the understanding that the roof portion,
No,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, no. Okay. We motion, the facilities committee motion to adopt APL's application for a public library construction and for it to be administered in accordance with the requirements of the educational law and division of library development regulations.
Second, Barnum.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. It passes unanimously. Now we will go on to the mural project.
So this is the fun part now. Not that rooftop replacement units aren't fun. This was covered a little bit earlier by Trustee Pryor, who spoke about the facilities minutes. I'm just making this text large enough for me to read. Okay. So the purpose of the memo that I shared with you in conjunction with the resolution is to provide some context for the proposed sole source resolution for this muralist at the Arbor Hill West Hill branch. So at our September 9th meeting, the facilities committee, excuse me. I'm
September
sorry.
3rd.
Yeah, I misspoke. This project is being funded by the special legislative bullet aid that was secured for Arbor Hill West Hill by former Senator Neil Breslin, and we're very grateful to Senator Neil Breslin for that bullet aid that made this possible. Of course, there are many, many talented artists in the Capital Region who are capable of creating community murals, but we're recommending Jade work for this particular project, not only because of her connection to Albany, and she has done a tremendous amount of work in Albany and has uplifted the community of Albany through her nonprofit Amplified Voices. But Jade also has specific expertise in working with public libraries to create murals. The New York State Library actually partnered with Jade to create a mural toolkit for libraries, which was published in June 2025. It was linked to the summer reading theme. And I did share in your memo a proposal excerpt from Jade, who basically says this mural proposal envisions the Arbor Hill West Hill branch as the vibrant heart of its community, a place where knowledge, creativity, and belonging flourish. Through colorful, community-centered visuals, the mural will celebrate the library's role as a cultural and educational cornerstone. The final design will emphasize inclusivity, imagination, growth, and the spirit of libraries as spaces by the people, for the people. And throughout, what Jade goes on to say, throughout my career, I've built an extensive body of work as a muralist specializing in community-centered public art. I believe libraries are living, breathing public spaces, one of the last truly public spaces that belong to everyone, regardless of background or circumstance. So that's the end of Jade's quote, but basically Jade really believes strongly in mentorship in addition to working within the community with community members to create her works of art. So as part of this mural project, Jade was also proposing to bring like an apprentice on with her to work on the mural project while she's at Arbor Hill West Hill. We are obtaining that community input through paper surveys that are available only to Arbor Hill West Hill patrons throughout the month of September. We kept these surveys paper because we don't want to kind of broadcast it to all of APL. This is really a mural that needs to be rooted in Arbor Hill West Hill branch and the people who use that branch and the community around it. So in addition to the paper surveys that we're distributing at Arbor Hill West Hill, the branch manager, Nolan, and his team are incorporating workshops into a couple of different library programs in the month of September. So there will be a community symbols mapping component of one of our Arbor Hill West Hill programs coming up where basically the question, what symbols, objects, or images represent our library and community? That question will be posed, and people will be able, patrons and kids and whoever attends will be able to add the symbols, objects, or images to the outline of a tree. And then the tree will be near the front of the library for a passive, for additional ideas to be contributed throughout the month of September. And there will also be a community quilt collaborative drawing workshop component where patrons will decorate paper squares in response to the prompt, draw, collage, or write something that shows what the library and community mean to you. And these squares will be put together into a community quilt grid that will then be, of course, shared with the muralist. So a draft form of the mural will be shared with the board and with me, of course, and with library administration, and you'll have an opportunity to see the draft before Jade goes forward with the project. The content will be determined by the community input that is received, and of course, we will be celebrating this mural upon its completion, which is anticipated in mid-November, right before Thanksgiving holiday. So I appreciate your consideration of the sole source resolution in front of you. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask.
Any discussion before I make the recommendation? Because this was,
I have just a couple of questions. So based on the timeline that it's September now and the surveys have been, so Jade has already been hired and this is sort of like informational, we're doing a single source thing, or this is looking for approval
This
from.
single source resolution is essentially a formality.
Okay.
Yeah. I asked Arbor Hill West Hill branch manager to propose a mural list for this project. And so it really grew from the branch management and with my support. So.
Okay. And in terms of the budget for this, it's entirely funded through the bullet grant. Okay.
That's right. And it's not
including
whole...
the apprentice and all of that. That's all included.
Yes, that's all included. Yeah.
And are there any like financial responsibility concerns about not having this go out to the wider community as an opportunity for artists and having already selected someone?
Well, basically I kind of posed this challenge or this opportunity to the Arbor Hill West Hill branch manager and specifically asked him to come up with a proposal for this grant money. The grant money was assigned specifically to Arbor Hill West Hill. So whatever was going to happen was definitely going to happen there.
Mm-hmm.
When Nolan came back with this proposal from Jade, who he had already spoken with, I thought it looked fantastic. So I didn't see any reason to hold it back.
Mm-hmm.
I also am mindful of the fact that, there are a lot of mural artists in the capital region, and this is not by any stretch some sort of permanent sole source resolution that will define our muralist choices for years to come. This is really just in connection with this one project. I really liked what Jade had to say about community engagement. She satisfied the board's desire to see that as part of the mural project, whatever mural project was going to happen. So yeah, I've been very impressed with her professionalism and everything associated with it. But I hear your
Jade is a great artist. I'm very familiar with her work. I think my only concern is just that there might be a great muralist who lives in the Arbor Hill West Hill Library area who was not selected for this project, and we're not aware of them. So just as a public entity, being aware of like any optics around that.
That's totally valid, and I appreciate you pointing it out.
Thank you, Trustee Allen, because those were some of the concerns that we had as on the facility committee. So I'm glad you brought those issues up and concerns. With that said, excuse me, executive Nikolai mentioned you all had an ample time to look at the memo and the reasons, that Jade was selected. So is there any other further? All right, so the facility committee made the recommendation that the board consider a sole source resolution for the mural vendor at West Harbor Hill and West Hill.
Trustee Allen, I second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
We are.
We don't voted. I just have a question.
We can, you want to just talk later? Okay, so it was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeas, 1 abstention. Motion passes.
Might have missed it. This is Trustee West. But what's the amount on the resolution? It says in an amount not to exceed. Did we mention what that was? I probably just missed it.
$10,000.
Correct.
If you have a look at, is the quote isn't included in the memo, but did we send that out?
No.
Okay, then. not to
Yes,
exceed
that
10,000.
that is in the quote as well.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the schedule of service for 2026. And I agree with you, Trustee Pryor. It's weird to say 2026.
So this is the time of year when the board approves the schedule of service for the next calendar year. And this is the standard list of holidays and days off that the library observes. The one holiday that I do have a question about, and I would like to discuss with the board, is July 4th, which falls on a Saturday. So since July 4th falls on a Saturday, it presents sort of an inequitable holiday to the folks who are not scheduled to work on Saturday. We only have, we obviously have 3 branches open on Saturday, not 7. So the question is whether to grant July 4th plus a floating holiday, or a floating holiday instead of, well, actually, no, I think we have to close on July 4th. Do we not? Council, would you advise on that? Actually, I'm not sure.
No, you're required to close on July 4th according to the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, thank you. So my recommendation would be to offer staff a floating holiday in addition to being closed on the 4th, because that would really provide a holiday to any staff who are not scheduled on that Saturday.
Trustee Masinski, does the collective bargaining agreement address this situation at all?
Not directly. Indeed, the current holiday situation in the collective bargaining agreement was revised, I think, in 2016, in part because of this issue. We had gotten to a point where I believe a Christmas day had fallen on a Saturday and the same issue had arisen. There was at one point an MOA that dealt with how that happened, but I think it's been subsumed in the current contract language. So I don't believe there's any language that controls it anymore. Andrea, I saw your note earlier, and I was just trying to find that MOA to see if it is indeed superseded, but I don't think the board needs to act on that tonight. What I would suggest is approve the schedule of service. And then once you and I nail down whether or not there's a controlling MOA, we could always come back and add a day as necessary.
Okay.
So I think you could approve this tonight, assuming you're willing to, knowing that between now and July, we may come back and suggest or recommend that the board add another day to address this issue.
I had a question. So why is, you have Labor Day weekend and Memorial Day weekend? Why isn't it, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and come back Monday, like 4th of July weekend?
It could, but the problem is those other days are always on a fixed day of the week, whereas 4th of July
Right.
and Christmas float around. So usually they're only observed on the actual day. And then when you get a situation like this where it's on a Saturday or Sunday that the library is already on a reduced schedule, it creates this question.
I have a related-ish question. I do not see St. Patrick's Parade on here. But in the years that I have, because people go, never mind. For the newer trustees, the St. Patrick's Day Parade goes by Washington Ave, and we will often vote to close Washington Ave to limit incidents in the Washington Ave branch. And I was thinking we closed all the branches, but that's not true. So I'm talking about nothing.
Well, the board wants to revisit that each year, so that will come up, but later.
Thank you. '26 schedule of service. All right. No. Can I have a motion to adopt the 2026 schedule of service?
I thought we were gonna do like with the caveat or the amendment, to discuss July 4th at a later date.
Yes, I think you're correct. Thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt the 2026 schedule of service with a discussion of July 4th potential added date?
Madam Chair, can I just ask a quick clarification of Trustee Pryor? Because I think her comment is very valid, but I might suggest that you're adopting a closure of July 4th. What the board may have in the future is an additional day being offered or recommended. So I just don't want there to be any lack of clarity. You're still going to be closed on the 4th pursuant to this schedule of service. It's just
Right.
whether we might be adding one more day.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that I think
Yeah.
that's a good qualifier.
Okay, I have, does it?
Trustee
motion?
Marlowe, I move to adopt the schedule of service for 2026.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Trustee Veneta, I second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving along. The almost last item are quarterly board evaluation forms. Oh, my goodness gracious, I'm so sorry. The 5-year financial plan, sorry.
So there are no materials because per what Vice President Allen mentioned earlier, the board or the Audit and Finance Committee wishes to put this information in front of the board for consideration in October.
I might want to sit over here.
All right, now I'm gonna move ahead to quarterly board evaluation forms. There's the electronic link in the minutes. If you want to submit it electronically to Erica, if you'd like to submit it in real life hard copy paper, she passed them out at the beginning of the meeting. Please fill out your evaluation and submit it. So we can try and be fast. All right, thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Thank you. No additional public comment. I would like for us to go into executive session to discuss confidential personnel issues. Mayor.
Trustee West, did we go into executive session? For the purpose of discussing confidential personnel matters.
I'll second the emotion. I mean, the motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes. We will adjourn to executive session.
For those watching or listening tonight, our live stream, we are going into executive session, so we will be ending the live stream. Any decisions made that need public vote will be done afterwards and will be reflected in the minutes. Thank you. And have a good evening.
I'm gonna
1 second, let me